Hi, it's Nathan with Jenner Ag, and today we'll be rebuilding an injection pump. The pump I have here today is a 0 to 200 ounces per minute pump. And whether you have this pump or the smaller barreled 0 to 40 ounce a minute pump, the rebuild procedure is the exact same. We will start by taking our intake and exhaust cartridges out of each head. Once you've done that, you're ready to pull the 4 Allen screws out of each head, which are a 5/32 Allen, and remove those from the pump. Once you have the heads off, there's no seals in the heads that need to be replaced. Now you will take a 3/16 Allen and you'll remove the pump body from the motor. Once the pump body is removed, all you have to do is check and make sure that the pump actually spins, and you'll check this bearing on the end to make sure that it is freed up and not rusted shut. Once you've got the head off, you're ready for disassembly of the pump components themselves. So in the middle here, you have your main pump shaft. You just push it out to the left or the right, and you'll remove both of the wiper seals from the shaft. Once you've done that, where the heads sit on the main body, there's O-rings on each side. You'll take a pick and just remove these O-rings, and you'll replace those later. And finally, in the main pump body, in the top hole, you have the shuttle valve, and you'll just take a small pick and push the shuttle valve out and make sure that the balls come out on both sides. So once you have the shuttle valve out, be mindful not to lose the 2 magnetic balls on both sides of the shuttle valve. And then you have the O-ring at the back plate. Once you have this disassembled, now you're ready to take apart your intake and exhaust cartridges. Your intake cartridge is the white bodied cartridge, and you can tell because the poppet pushes in. The exhaust cartridge is your blue cartridge, and the poppet will actually pull out. So to remove these, you have a retainer that holds the bodies to the Allen. You'll remove the retainer, and you'll take this cage off of this retainer, and inside your intake cartridges you'll have this poppet and this white poppet retainer that just slides down onto the poppet. You just remove this and push this poppet out of the bottom of the cage, and we're looking to replace the O-ring on the bottom side of this poppet and the bottom of the cage. Now on your exhaust cartridges, the blue bodies, inside there you have a retainer that has to be twisted 90 degrees to get it off of the poppet body itself. Now be careful here, that is under spring pressure, and I recommend you put it in a container or a box or cup your hand over it, because if your needle nose pliers let go of that retainer, the spring and the retainer will fly out, and they're not very easy to find. Once you have this removed, you'll also replace the O-ring at the bottom of the poppet and the bottom of the cage. Once you have all the O-rings removed, you're ready for reassembly. So you'll put your cartridges back together, and when you get done, they should look like this, with new O-rings at the bottom, new O-rings around the top retainer, and new O-rings around the poppets themselves. And for the body, you'll put your new O-rings in each side where the head goes. Once those are installed, we're ready to reinstall our shaft. Now before you do this, you want to make sure there's a little amount of grease in this channel here so that it keeps the bearing on the end of the pump shaft lubricated. You'll slide this in with your wiper seals And the wiper seals do have a shelf on them that keeps the shaft centered in the body. So once you have your pump installed, the final piece for the main body is reinstalling your shuttle valve. Once you have the shuttle valve reinstalled, you'll reinstall a new O-ring for the back. And then you're ready to reinstall your pump body. Now when you're reinstalling this pump body, you need to play with the main pump shaft a little bit to get it to line back up with the pump shaft. And you're ready to reinstall the 4 cap screws. Once the cap screws are on, we're ready to reinstall the heads on this pump. There's an up arrow on the outside edge of both heads indicating the direction they should be installed. Once both heads are installed, you'll tighten the cap screws for the heads, and now we're ready to reinstall our intake and exhaust cartridges. And when you're tightening these intake and exhaust cartridges, you want to take them to where they bottom out the O-ring and no tighter, or you run the risk of cracking the head, and then you'll need a replacement head, or worse yet, a replacement pump. Now that you've successfully learned how to rebuild your injection pump, you're ready to test it with green antifreeze and verify you don't have any leaks. If you have any questions, reach out to our parts associates or our service members for help on this project. If you enjoyed the content you saw today, like and follow our page for more.